Welcome back to my comfy couch, everyone. It's story time! And today I thought I'd read a story about what our chapel lesson talked about. Do you remember, if you watched the video already, it's a good one, the chapel story. It's about Jesus. He went into the town riding on a donkey, and they were waving palm branches and shouting, "Hosanna, Hosanna!" Well, I wanted to read a story about that. Some people call it Palm Sunday. Some people call it the triumphal entry. I have a book that I used to hear when I was little from my mom. She would read me this book, and my brother too, and we would hear stories from this. It's called The Bible Animal Storybook, and it's the Bible stories told from the animals. The animals tell the story. So it's not exactly the Bible story. It's a little bit changed, but it sure is a lot of fun. I love hearing from the animals what they were maybe thinking. So this is a lot of fun. This story is called The Bucking Donkey, and it's the donkey that Jesus rode into the town. So let's find out what happens, guys. I moved the camera this direction so you could see the pictures a little bit better. Turned it this direction. Oh, it's from the mom donkey, by the way. The mom is telling the story about her son. Okay, here we go. He was young. In fact, I still thought of him as my baby donkey, but he was plenty old enough to start learning what donkeys were made for. "Stop that," I said to him one day in our stable yard. I didn't like him jumping and kicking all the time. "But, Mother," he said, "I'm just having fun. Besides, I want to be the buckingest donkey there ever was. I'll never let any rider stay on me. If he tries to hang on, he'll hit the ground faster than he can say, 'Whoa!'" I blew out a hot breath. "I'll say it once more, my son. God didn't make donkeys to buck people. He made donkeys to carry people. Gently and carefully. And their packs, too." "Oh, plenty of other donkeys can do that, Mother. I'd rather be a bucker." "If you're a bucker, well," I answered, "it'll be for a very short time, because people have no need for a donkey who won't be tame." "Oh, Mother," he groaned. He stepped further away, and so his jumping and kicking wouldn't bother me. As I watched him, I shuddered to think what might happen if he didn't settle down soon. Just the day before, I had overheard our owner talking to his wife. "That new colt is trouble," he had said. "I don't think I can use him, and I don't think anyone can." Shaking her head, his wife replied, "Perhaps we need to get rid of him one way or another." Oh no, it sounds like they might get rid of that young donkey. Now, as the day grew hotter, my son stopped his bucking and joined me in the shade to rest. Oh, that's good. But when he saw our owner and his wife coming with ropes to put around us, he jumped up and started kicking again. Oh, brother. After a struggle, the owner got the rope around him, and he and his wife led us away, and the owner said angrily, "Maybe I can find someone who needs this unruly beast, because I certainly don't." Oh, he's going to try to sell him. Oh, boy. Soon we came to the center of the village. The owner tied us to a post, and there were people all around talking and rushing from house to house. They kept looking down the road to Bethany, a nearby village, and saying, "He's coming!" People kept saying, "Jesus of Nazareth! Jesus. Here he comes into the story. "Jesus of Nazareth is on his way to Jerusalem. He'll be passing through our village today." "He's the great prophet," someone shouted. "He can raise the dead," proclaimed another. "And he can make food appear from nowhere," called out another. Our owner and his wife got just as excited as the others, and for a moment they forgot about us. Oh, look at this. He does not look like he enjoys being with that rope around him. He's just pulling and pulling. Well, I turned to my son and I said, "This is probably our last time together. So listen and be wise. When all this commotion is over, our owner will try to find someone in the crowd to buy you. If anyone tells him, I like the way your young donkey looks, let me take a ride and try him out. Then, son, do your donkey best to be gentle, gentle, gentle. No, mother, he protested. Oh, he's going to regret that. No one has ever ridden me, and no one ever will. It's no honor to carry a man. I'd rather be wild. He stomped the ground and pulled at his rope. Don't you understand? I cried. If you stay wild, they'll get rid of you. Please, won't you? Please. But before I could say more, 2 men drew near us. 2 men with kind faces who weren't from our village. They reached for the rope that held my son. Our owner saw them. Hey, what are you doing? Our owner called out as he and his wife came closer. Why are you untying that colt? A colt is a young donkey. A colt. Why are you untying that colt? The men replied, The Lord needs him, and he'll send him back shortly. When our owner and his wife heard that, their mouths dropped open and their eyes grew wide. Of course you may take him, of course, they said. Then a touch of worry crossed their faces. Why do you think they're worried about these men taking that young donkey? What might they be thinking? That young donkey, do you think he's going to give a gentle ride to anybody? Ooh, let's find out. Oh boy. Quickly, the owner reached forward and started untying my rope. Oh, well, in case the little one doesn't do, he said with a smile, take this one too. She's a very gentle donkey. Yes, she's a very good donkey. So the owner says, why don't you take the mom, because she's nicer. Let's see what happens. The men led us away from the village, and soon we reached a large group of people resting beside the road. The men took us to the leader of all these travelers. They called him Jesus. When Jesus saw us, he smiled. He held my son's muzzle in his hands and gently rubbed him. It made me wonder if this man Jesus could someday tame my son. The people around us were getting up now, ready to start walking again. On to Jerusalem, they shouted. The men with kind faces took off their cloaks and laid them on my son's back. Then Jesus sat down on top. Jesus didn't seem to be a bit worried. He looked as if he rode my young donkey all the time. I closed my eyes, dreading to hear that awful sound of my son bucking Jesus off. Oh boy, guys. But all I could hear was people cheering. I opened my eyes. Jesus was riding lightly down the road. And my son? He looked as if he carried Jesus all the time. I shouted a happy hee-haw and hurried to catch up with them. The cheering travelers joined behind us, with my son and Jesus out the front. Our parade made its way through the crowded streets of the village. On each face I saw a smile, and from each mouth came a cheer, and the biggest smiles and the loudest cheers were from our owner and his wife. Over a mountain we went, and on to the other side was Jerusalem. Even bigger crowds were coming from the city to meet us. They were waving their cloaks and tree branches and laying them on the road for my son and Jesus to pass over. All the while they shouted praises, and the noise was so loud I almost didn't hear my son. Look at him, shouting too. Hee-haw! Hosanna in the highest! Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord.